artist. I'm Rosie. Welcome back to my art corner or my little studio space. Today I wanted to talk about creating some positive art habits. So the first one that I want to start practicing every morning, because I am part of the 5 a.m. crew. I wake up very early, and so I have a lot of time in between when I actually start working for the day. I am a middle school art teacher. Shout out to my View Park 6th through 8th grade students. I actually start classes around 8:50, so between 4:30 when I wake up and then do my morning routine and prep for the day. I usually have about an hour or so where I can actually like sit down and maybe just do a quick sketch or a quick drawing. So I wanted to give you a couple of suggestions on what are some things that you can sketch or draw. I have my drawing journal. I actually want to design the cover. Maybe I'll make another video of me decorating the cover. I have ideas already of what I want to do. I just need to sit down and do it. So in October I started Peachtober, and I did some of the Peachtober prompts with my students, and so I only actually see them each grade level. I see them once a week, and so it's very hard for me to do a prompt for each day of the week or each day of the month. I did do a couple on my own. Maybe I'll show some pictures of that later. And so I really like Furry Little Peach. I love her style. I love the color palettes that she uses, and just like her personality. I decided to go ahead and do Peachtober because she inspired me. And I've only done, let me see, I did 1, 2, 3, oh my gosh, 4. I did 4 of the prompts. So I'm actually on winter vacation right now, and we don't go back to school until the second week of January. So I'm using this time to sort of push myself to start practicing and making my own art. And so drawing prompts such as like Peachtober, they're a really great way for you to think of ideas. I know artist block is like a really popular word right now. Artist block is where you sort of don't have any drive to create any art, or you don't have any like fresh ideas. You can get ideas from anywhere. I went over this with my students. We went over where you can get inspiration from. We talked about Pinterest. We talked about things that are around your house. I have a whole bunch of books. I have a little stack right here that have different prompt ideas, as well as I have one that's called Make Art Every Day, and I actually got this like at 5 and Below. There's a lot of really great art books for $5 there, and I have actually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have like 5 that I bought from 5 and Below, and so these are just really great ways to get your creative juices flowing. And there's been studies showing that kids do well, they do better in the morning, and I think that goes for all of us. When you first wake up in the morning, your brain's sort of like getting into gear, and more towards the end of the day you're like winding down, and you might be tired, you might be mentally drained. So it's better if you try to do these things in the morning when your brain is a little bit more fresh. Okay, so I'm gonna go over some of the books that I have in order to break that artist block or to get inspiration of what to draw, and we are just doing journal drawings. Okay, so the first one is Make Art Every Day, and it's like a little planner, and it's a weekly planner, and I actually started filling this in, and this is by Katie Vernon, and this was one of the books I found at 5 and Below. And so it just has making creative connections, make art an appointment. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make it part of my daily routine. So maybe you can say every morning I'm gonna wake up, and from 6 o'clock to 6:30 I'm gonna do a drawing or a sketch. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything really detailed or finished. It's just more of like a quick drawing. For my students, I always have them do it's called a do now. And so when they first enter the classroom, or now it's Zoom, when they first enter the Zoom session, they will do some type of do now, either a drawing prompt or like a writing prompt, to get their mindset sort of in creative thinking, problem solving. This one says setting and achieving goals, taking care of yourself. These are just like little self-care things. Basic mark making, different drawing materials, what are the different types of lines that you can create, varying your line quality, which means thick and thin. And then it talks about lettering. So lettering can be also a really fun way to get out ideas. A lot of times I tell my kids If you don't want to draw something, you can write something instead, because some kids, if you feel like you're a little bit more comfortable with writing, then write. And there's a lot of really cool lettering styles that you can also play around with. I do have a lettering book here. And then week 1, which I actually filled in, I was really proud that I did that. It's just sort of like a little, it's just a weekly schedule that you can make for yourself. I have this little stamp that has like little boxes that somebody gave me, and so I love creating checklists. I put my priorities on that list, and sometimes I put a little bit more and see what I can get done throughout the day, and then putting that little check mark is a really great way to, you know, make you feel like you accomplished something. Even if it's just like, you know, washing dishes or washing clothes, I add those on there as well. So adding in art making to-do list as well. Then it has goals for the week: serve up fresh artwork, draw or paint a new subject. And this one says catch a creative fire, spark a new project. So I just wrote down something that I wanted to start with, which is practicing doing digital art. I recently purchased a iPad, so I want to practice creating more digital art pieces and learn how to use Procreate, which is a drawing app. And then it has creative starters, and this is where we're getting into those little drawing prompt ideas. So it says draw 3 things: something transparent, something ceramic, and then something soft. So you can either choose one of those, or you can choose to do all 3 of them. And then it says make a giant scribbly mess and turn it into a landscape. I actually did that one. I just did some scribbles, and then I added in some trees and a little house and like a little road and some mountains in the back. Super duper quick sketch. That took me about like 2 to 5 minutes, and I just did it with my pen that I was using to fill in my schedule for the week, or my to-do list. And then the last one says quick sketch or fleeting thought. So I just did, I like doing self-portraits a lot, and I actually haven't done one in a very long time, so I just did a really quick self-portrait. Not that great, I'm a little bit rusty. Most of my art practice for the past couple of years has been creating examples for art projects for my kids, so I definitely want to start trying to make some of my own art for my own pleasure, instead of just doing, you know, examples of art, which is fun as well, but you know, they're more oriented towards the curriculum that I teach. So some of the other books I have are, this is another 5 and Below Sketch Your World. This one is definitely for journal prompts. The beginning of it talks about hand positions, experimenting with pencil, line, texture, hatching. Then it talks about different types of supplies you can use. It talks about using three-dimensional, drawing three-dimensionally, drawing using perspective. This is actually a really great like starter book if you're just getting into drawing, and these are actually a lot of the things that I teach in my classes. And then it talks about proportions and the human form, ratios of the body, and then it talks about drawing figures in different parts of the body, gesture drawing. Okay, let me get to the drawing prompt. So after all of that stuff, those are it's basically like the basics in the beginning of the journal. And then it gets into drawing challenges. And then it gives you a couple of prompts about like people, who's your favorite person, maybe you can draw that. You can draw your favorite animals, draw where you're at right now. I could draw myself. I've done this actually before. Draw yourself at your, in your space that you're in. Choose something from around your house as a still life. A shoe, maybe like a plant. And then the last thing is like doodles, which I loved drawing doodles when I was growing up in school. I always doodled in like the margins of my spirals and my journals. So doodling is very fun. And then the very first one says, who are you? So I guess it's like a page to draw about yourself or write about yourself. Like I said, for journals, you can either draw, you can doodle, you can write, you can express yourself with words, with poetry. It doesn't really matter. It's just that you're getting it done. Create good habits. And then it has a lot of other writing or drawing prompts in here. I really like this book. I actually want to gift it to one of my students. I actually probably will buy some more of these and gift it to my students that I know are very interested in, you know, the art world, and maybe even going into art as a career. So this is a lettering book, the Little Book of Lettering and Word Design, and some of my students ask me about lettering. They're into, or they want to get into calligraphy, and I'm like, well, you can go to Five and Below and there's some really great books there, or you know, I don't want to say this, I can print out some pages, or I actually have some of these books inside of my classroom, but right now we're not in the classroom, so it's hard for me to share them with my students. I had another lettering book that my kids really loved, and it ended up getting, you know, a little bit torn apart because they used it so much and they went back to it. So that's fine, you know, as long as they're being creative, and you know, books are gonna get wear and tear, especially with kids. But yeah, lettering books are a good way for you to get some ideas. These, I think I got these at the bookstore. I actually don't remember where I bought this from. Probably like Barnes and Noble, or oh yeah, Barnes and Noble. They actually have like a really good bargain book section, or like a discounted clearance section for books. So I also buy a lot of books from that area. So this one's 10-step drawing animals. Learn to draw 75 animals in 10 easy steps. So it just has like a little page spread for different types of animals. Like these are a little bit more realistic. So I have another book where it's more like cartoony style, but these are going to be a little bit more realistic. So this is drawing animals is a really great prompt. How to draw cute stuff. My students love this book. I know like chibis and anime are very popular. I know like drawing chibis and anime are very popular. This one is actually super duper simple, and that's why I skimmed through this book and I loved it, because the step-by-steps were very easy, and you know, they're just like a little fun prompt. And we actually use some of these for our do now activities, and my kids love them. So yeah, drawing cute stuff. I'll try to put some of the links for these books, if I can find them online. I'll put them in the description box. This one I know I got at Barnes and Noble, and you can probably find it online on Amazon. 300 drawing prompts, and they actually have this with like 300 writing prompts, 300 sketch prompts. I think there's a couple of different ones. So this one's 300 drawing prompts, and this is actually started filling this one in. I have a lot of things to, like, that I start on, and like I said, I'm a procrastinator, so whatever you can get in order to encourage you to maybe draw daily, do it. Okay, so I'll probably start continuing to add into this. This one is from 2018, so it's been a couple years since and it's 300 prompts, so there's a lot of prompts that I definitely haven't filled in. So it's just like angel wings, Dr. Seuss hat, and these, I just keep them as sketches. They're just like pencil sketches. I didn't add any color in. A lot of times if you get a journal like this, the fact that your page is so large, it can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming, and you'll start to think, oh man, I have to fill up that whole page, and then you won't even want to start. So sometimes it's good to start off with something small, even if it's like a small journal, maybe like 3x3 or 4x4. This is a 8" by 8" I believe, and you know, it might be a little bit overwhelming to start off with something so large. So maybe starting with something like this, where my squares are, you know, only maybe like a 5x7, or maybe they're like 3x5s. That's a little less overwhelming. This one I also got from Barnes and Noble. This one is 365 Days of Art, and it's a lot like this one, the 300 drawing prompts, but this one actually has like the prompt is started for you, and then you have to complete it. So I like this. I use this for a couple of the do nows for my students, but it was a little bit hard for me to use, because since it has like pre-illustrated prompts, I would have to either photocopy it for them, and it would be black and white. It's very hard for me to do any like color photocopies because it gets very expensive. But I would love for somebody to fill this out on their own. And just the pictures were so like colorful and beautiful. I really didn't want to draw in it myself, which is pretty stupid. You know, I shouldn't. I should just use it, since I, you know, purchased it. It was like, what, $20? Okay, so this one is, it has printouts where some of the prompts are started for you, and they are very colorful. And like this one says, number 1 is color or create a pattern. Start filling in and coloring in a pattern. If you've ever done like one of those adult coloring books, that's another way to, you know, just get your creative juices flowing. This is very similar, but it's making you problem solve in order to complete, like, how am I going to create this pattern? It lets you have a little bit more choice of how you want to complete this. Okay, so art has a lot to do with problem solving skills, and building up those problem solving skills is going to help you be a more creative artist. Okay, so this is a really great book. Here's one last book I forgot to mention that I picked up at Five and Below. It says, I am in charge of how I feel, and today I choose to be happy. So this is more like a little weekly journal, or like a reflection journal. And this one is like another like to-do checklist I'd love to accomplish, I'm looking forward to, I need to, what are some of your fitness goals as well. So if you want to work fitness into your schedule, that's great. I know a lot of us are being really sedative nowadays because we're working from home, we're stuck inside. I know as an art teacher, I never sat down until it was like my until it was my lunch hour. I actually got, 15 or 30 minutes to sit down and, put in attendance or prep for my next class period that was coming in after lunch. So I hardly ever sat down. I was constantly moving. Now I'm sitting down most of the day at my computer, and I'm very sedative. So working in some type of fitness goal into your weekly or daily routine is important to your health, your mental health, and your physical health as well. These are things for you to fill in at the end of the week. You're grateful for, I enjoyed, I accomplished, and then silver linings, like what are the bright side of things, and mindful moments. So getting a little journal like this, if you're more into writing rather than drawing, you can fill this in. I like writing and drawing, so if I want to take my one of my journals and maybe add in some reflections, I can do that as well. That's it, guys. So let's go ahead and we're going to do a drawing together. Okay, so let's get into that drawing. Okay guys, I know I showed you my little book collection. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy 6 or 7 different books. Start out with one, use it for inspiration for you to start doing your drawing prompts, and then afterwards, over the years, I've collected these over the, like I said, my 300 drawing prompts, I purchased that back in like 2018. So if you feel like you're getting a little bit stagnant or tired of one of the books, then you can go out and maybe find one from inspiration. And then again, you don't even have to go out and purchase anything. You can always look online. Like I said, Pinterest is a really great place for you to find inspiration and get some drawing prompts. Another place is Instagram. There's a lot of artists that post their own drawing prompts. I know there's one for October, there's one for November. Don't feel like you have to go out and purchase anything. Find something online. Okay, so Peachtober, I'm super duper late. I'm about 3 months late. It's okay. I'm still gonna go back in and I can still do these prompts. You do things at your own pace, on your own time. Don't feel like you have to, because I'm a teacher. I have a lot of other things going on. And I don't always have a lot of time to sit down and draw. Since I have the time now, I'm going to go ahead and try to catch up on some of these. I did finish number 1 yesterday, which is home. Yeah, so this one was inspired by fairy houses, and then I thought it'd be cool if I just add in some foliage around it, like if it was a really tiny house, and then it had some like big leaves around it. Okay, number 2 is raccoon. So I think that's the one that we are going to work on today. And let me see, maybe I can grab one of my books and get some inspiration. So I'm gonna look through how to draw cute stuff, and let's see. Or usually my style is a little bit more realistic, but sometimes I want to try something different and make something that's a little bit more cartoony, and more like an illustration style. And ooh, I have some raccoons here. Okay, so we have some cartoon raccoons. Let me show those real quickly. So I can either take that, or I can go into my more realistic animals. Let me see. I think that would be like a woodland creature. And I can decide, do I want this to be more realistic, or do I want this to be a little bit more cartoony? So let me see if they have any. We have a fox, snail, deer, frog, a wolf. Here we go, raccoon. So here's another. So I get to decide, do I want this to be more realistic? And for this one, it only has one pose. For the more cartoony style, it has a couple of different poses. So what you could also do is combine the styles. You don't have to necessarily stick to this how-to. Maybe we can combine a more realistic style with a more cartoony style. So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to decide which style do I like better? And maybe I'll just choose a pose, and then I'll sort of combine the realistic with the cartoony pose. Okay, so materials that we're going to use. You definitely need an eraser, because usually when you're drawing, your pencils that you use to draw with, they run out of eraser, so you always want to have an extra eraser. And I just have a general's art eraser, nothing fancy. And then I have a mechanical pencil. I have a 3B art pencil, general's art pencil, and then I have 2 color erase pencils from Prisma. And these 2 color pencils are really great to use if you're planning on adding color later on, because if you add color, if you use a graphite pencil or a mechanical pencil with graphite pencil, a lot of times your colors get muddied up. If you're adding color with color pencil, or if you're adding color with watercolor, this will bleed into your colors and it will muddy them up a little bit. So if you're planning on adding color, it would probably be a better idea to use either a light blue or a red color erase pencil in order to do your preliminary sketch. So this is just going to be a sketch for me, and with all of my Peachtober drawings that I've been doing so far, I've just been doing them with as a pencil drawing, and then I ink them in with a fine liner marker. So mine is not going to have color, so I don't really need to use the color pencils. I'm probably going to use my mechanical pencil. I'm going to go ahead and start out with my pose. I'm going to decide, do I want my drawing to cover up the entire page? Is he going to be sitting somewhere in the middle of the page? So for most of my drawings, they're somewhere in the middle of the page. So I'm just going to, and I don't have to add in a background for this. I can just make it my simple drawing. And I'm choosing one of the little cartoony body styles. With the more cartoony style, it breaks down the raccoon into basic shapes. So your first shape is a circle. So I start out with the head, and then it has some ovals for the eyes, and then it has this sort of triangular shape for the body, but the triangular shape is a little bit more rounded on the edges, and then it has some triangles for the ears. Okay, and then the last thing that it has in here is the arms. And this one actually doesn't have the back legs. It just has the front arms. And this is very stylized, which means it's not very realistic looking, and it's more of just talking about the shape rather than all the details within it. Okay, so I have the basic shape. However, oops, we forgot the tail. So the tail's gonna come out this way. Okay, so we have our basic shape. What I want to do is I want to make it a little bit more realistic, so I'm going to go ahead and add in the back legs. So I'm going to add in a leg, like if it's coming out this way, and let's see.
Well, that's the finished product, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that the books that I shared gave you a little bit of inspiration to create some art of your own. Remember to keep up those positive drawing habits, and I'll see you next time. Bye!